Ctet exam. Okay, so today's topic is our child. A few MCQs from the chapter child centered and progressive education. Now, from the term itself, from the title of the chapter itself, you can understand that how much we need to understand the child as a teacher, being a teacher, because everyone here, those who are going to appear the Ctet exam, each and everyone is a B.Ed qualified student, or we can say B.Ed qualified aspirant, and he or she must have some kind of an education and some kind of understanding of the child whom he or she is going to teach. So as a teacher, it is very important to understand the child, what the child needs, because each and every child is unique and each and every child is special. So if you understand the core theme of the entire course and your profession, you are actually evolving yourself as a teacher, and new prospects come in your domain. And because being a teacher, it is always a challenging job, where each and every day you have to meet new there are a lot of expectations and various or diverse topics or diverse concepts or diverse requirement of the child, and depending on the child, his needs should be properly executed, properly understood. So let's try to explain a few concepts which is related with the progressive education, which is nothing else but the child-centered education. And after the discussion on the concepts, we will go back to the MCQ, which are actually taken from the previous year question paper. That means we can say all the question paper that have we have taken 10 years question paper, and out of that 10 years question paper, we have selected a few MCQs for today's session. Okay, let's start. Now see, before going to this, let us do one thing. Okay, now what happens when we are going to teach child centered study and education? We need to know the principles of child centered education. And what are they? Uh, the principles of, can you see the board clearly, or will I change the color? Hope blue will work. Okay. Okay, when we are speaking about the principles, let us go to the 6 principles. What is the first one? It is the understanding of the child. Next, we will go to the next concept, that is evaluation and testing. Third is the syllabus. The syllabus, this is the syllabus which is related to the teaching of the child's standard. It may be class 1 standard, or it may be class 8 standard. Okay, depending on the standard, you need to. The fourth one is managing discipline. orientation, and the last one is diagnosis of the problem, or we can say examining the problem. Now, see, these are the six principles on the basis of which we need to tackle the problem of the student, or we can also say how we need to develop our education so that the education helps the student to be to have clear exposure of the to the world, to the problems of life, and also to the problem of the students. So in this way, these five principles help us, because the first one is understanding of the child. From the first one, we need to know that a child is unique, a child is special, and he and she has his own problems, own qualifications, own abilities. So depending on one's ability, we need to understand to the limit of the child. Because we say know that the child is unique, a child is different from one another, so he has his boundaries, or to which limit he can work, or to which limit he can think or solve a problem. So depending on the child, we need to be very much individual in this case, because we need to individually tackle the student's problem. We need to understand his personal problems, because a lot of personal problems also hamper the child's development or understanding of any concepts. So he should be understood by the teacher individually, and the teacher can do this only when the teacher is not only a teacher, but he or she is also trying to come out from the bondage of being a teacher and become a friend, become a philosopher, and at the same time the guide. So a teacher is none else but the best philosopher, the best guide, and the best friend. Okay. Apart from that, the second principle is what? Evaluation and testing. Now here we come to the concept of, okay, CCE. Okay. What is CCE? It is comprehensive, continuous evaluation. So from the year 2010, this is being evolving, or this is actually this came into effect, the principle of comprehensive continuous evaluation. That means the student, or the entire organization, the school as an institution or organization, is going to conduct test for each unit, and the test should be a kind of a continuous process, or we can say the entire learning of the student. On the basis of the student's understanding, this test should be done in a form of objective or subjective manner, and in required or regular intervals. In that way, apart from the half yearly and annual exams, if we conduct this kind of regular unit test, or we can say weekly test, what happens, whatever the problem or issues is related to a particular chapter, the student can understand, or the student can deal with it. And at the same time, the teacher also will be coping up with the problems and issues of of specific points, because when a teacher is teaching the chapter, a lot of things will be understood by the child, but a few problems or issues will be there concerned with few topics. But in a class of 40 students, 40 to 50 students, out of that, a few students may not understand even the concepts which is understood by an average student. So student from below the IQ level of 70, or we can say IQ level of 60, will not understand a few normal concepts. So in order to make each and every child understand to a specific limit or to the highest individual limit, the teacher is going to conduct this kind of comprehensive evaluation test. And when the test is done and the outcome, the results, when the results is known by the teacher will at the first time or at the first instance will understand that this child could not understand the problems or a few concepts related to the chapter. And that in that way the teacher may go individually to the student and and try to understand what is his problem. It may be mental or it may be some kind of biological problem. So depending on the problem, we need to understand what is his problem, and in that way we need to give the medicine, or we can add the other words is that we need to give the solution to the problem. Okay. Then we have the concept of syllabus. So depending on the syllabus, now what happens after the NEP 2020, 2020, there is the pressure of syllabus is lessened by the education system. But although the syllabus is lessened, or we can also say the syllabus is less in comparison to the earlier syllabus or to the earlier curriculum, still the student need to cope up with the syllabus. So we have a definite syllabus, and the teacher has to complete the entire syllabus. That means explanation, taking comprehensive test, remedial classes, and individual interaction. So everything should be done depending on the syllabus before the exam, before the final or before the half yearly exam. So the teacher has the problem, or he or she is under the stress that syllabus should be completed. Okay. Okay, the fourth one is managing discipline. So whenever you are conducting your class, it is very important that the class maintains discipline. So being a teacher, you should have the authoritative quality, or the kind of personality in which the student will understand you, and he or she will sit in a disciplined way, listen to you, and try to understand what you are teaching. So for that you should have a different kind of a persona, or you can say a unique persona, in which the student actually abides by you. Here abiding is not only really listening to you obediently, but also maintaining discipline in the class, and taking the fullest initiative, being a student, so that even one student is not adhering to the principle or the discipline of the class, he or she will listen to the teacher or listen to the class monitor, because the teacher is there in the class, and he should listen or remain in the class in a calm and composed way. So a lot of problems we have seen, that whenever a few teachers enter the classroom, the students are always in a hurry or always in a jail, that this teacher should come to the classroom, and then and there they will start gossiping, they will start running here to there in the classroom, they will not maintain discipline. So students have the proximity to do this kind of mischiefs in the classroom. So in being a teacher, you should also be a friend. You should be a friend, but to a limit. So the limitations of the teacher, so you need to know that what are your limits. So being a teacher, you should be in a passive way, and at the same time you should be an active way. So balancing between active and passive manner of your personality, and balancing to become a friend and at the same time to become a guide, is very difficult. So we need to develop that capability or that caliber of being a teacher, where you are not colliding with the principles of being a teacher, and that too, and a kind of a disciplined teacher who maintains discipline in his or her class. Okay. Then we have the concept of orientation. Now, what do you mean by orientation? Orientation is the process where you need to understand the child and make the required solutions. What are his issues? Identify his problems and try to deal with the problem in a very solution giving way, where you are actually trying to tackle the problem of the student and make the student actually not forcibly but in a different way, where you are morally giving the student the atmosphere or the composed, calm, composed way where the student will understand and abide to you or follow your rules and come up with good results, or we can also say not only good results but to become a good person, accepted by the society. Okay. And the last one is examining the problem. So examining the problem is that a kind of a diagnosis. Okay, here it is say the diagnosis, that means examining the issue. So you need to identify the problem and at the same time you need to do some kind of research on the problem, that how the problem can be solved, how the teacher can handle the situation of the student. So each and every student, as I have already said, that each and every student is difficult to be understood by the teacher, but the teacher, because this is a challenging profession and each and every day you need to have a different kind of personality, you need to have some kind of a balanced personality where your personal issues will not be taken into account and you need to understand, you need to come forward to understand the student, to identify his or her problem, do some kind of research work on the problem and then try to give your unique perception or unique solution to the problem. Okay, these are the principles by which we can make a student or we can make education child centered. Now, what about the progressive education? Progressive education, till here we came to know about the principles of child centered education. Now, we will understand how progressive education can be carried out. It seems that when progressive education comes into account, there are a lot of people who have included or who have given their own approaches towards a progressive kind of a system of education, where where a student is not only trying to get marks for a specific standard type of exam, or we can say the annual or half yearly exams, but the student is trying to learn new things by executing some kind of activities or by doing something. So in the simplest term, we can say that progressive education is nothing else but learning by doing. Learning by doing. So when you remember this basic concept of progressive education, you will be able to make the student understand that when progressive education is included, that means the student is trying to learn by doing something, and by doing something he or she is actually trying to accept or trying to make himself acceptable in the context of the society. Okay, society, because we are a unit. So why education and society are clashing here? Because education is a process to make us civilized human beings and to imbibe into us some kind of behavior, some kind of mannerisms which is acceptable ultimately by whom? It is the society. And where we are going to live? It is the society. And where we are going to earn our income? It is the society. So ultimately, the entire society is going to be the place where we are going to live, we are going to struggle, and at the last, we are going to survive. So it is very important that society is the place where we will, what we will do? We will live, struggle, and survive. So ultimately, society is the place where we are, where actually whatever we are learning, we are executing where? We are executing in our society. So people like John Locke, he has said that the truth of knowledge is nothing else but it is the observation and our experience. So when we are going to add all this, observation and education, then we have the concepts of Rousseau, and he said that it is the teacher's duty to ordinate the student. That means ordination, or we can also say subordination of the student, by whom? It is by teachers. Yes. Next, we have the concept of Froebel, and who gave the concept of kindergarten? It was Froebel who gave the concept of kindergarten, and he said that self-activity. He emphasized on self-activity. So self-activity is very important in relation to education, which is going to be a progressive education system. And next we have Dewey, and John Dewey gave the concept of progressive education in 1880 to 1904. So ultimately progressive education was given by Dewey from the year 1880 to 1904. So please remember the dates and the person who gave the concept of progressive education. Okay. So this is the progressive education system. The main principles. Now, when we are going about the concepts of this theory of progressive education, what are they? The first one is the education system. The entire education system is going to be affected. Then we have the syllabus. The syllabus is going to be different, or we can say the syllabus earlier, which is to be very traditional kind of a syllabus, is going to be converted into a progressive system of syllabus, where the syllabus actually it is an inclusive syllabus of making the student learning by doing. So basic principle is what? Learning by doing. And then we have the concept of school and the method of education. School is going to be the only institution which is going to help to carry out what? Ultimately progressive education. Where it is going to be carried out, it is to be executed. It is to be executed where? It is the school. Syllabus is what? Inclusive syllabus. Inclusive means we have concept-based questions, and at the same time, we have concepts which is to be carried out through the help of some kind of experience, or we can say through kind of activities. Education, what kind of education? It is progressive. And the methods, what is the kind of method? It is not traditional, but it is the modern approach. Now see, these are the basic concepts which is going to help us to include progressive education, because we need to keep in our mind that progressive education is ultimately going to make us or make the students survive in the contemporary society and evolve being citizens in the contemporary society. And so we need to keep in mind, as a teacher, we need to keep in mind that education should be progressive. Okay. With this, we come to the concepts which are going to be discussed, which are very important for your Ctet exam in relation to the child-centered and progressive education ends here. And now we will be dealing with the MCQs. Okay. Now let us go to the MCQs. So here we are with the MCQs. The first MCQ, these MCQs actually are selected from the previous year question paper which we have collected for the last 10 years. And from the 10 years question paper, we have selected them. So the first one is, who created the concept of kindergarten? Okay, kindergarten concept was given by whom? It was none else but Froebel. Okay, so please remember the names which are very important. So you may get confused with John Locke, John Dewey, kindergarten, Maria Montessori, and Froebel. So Froebel is the person who gave the concept of kindergarten, or we can say kindergarten. Now, in relation to kindergarten, what we understand, kindergarten is the system of education which is given to whom? Which are given to small child from the age group of 3 to 6. Okay, or we can also say 5. 3 to 5 years of children. So these are the children who go to kindergarten, or we can say KG. Okay, KG is the class, or we can say, what is the full form of KG? It is kindergarten. And who are the students? These students go to this kind of schools or this kind of standards of school. Why? Because this is the process where they are actually learning, and whatever they are learning, they are going to improve better in the future. So this is the basic ground, or we can say it is the basic foundation of a student to learn something new in the future. Yes. Next we have the question of identify the basic difference between traditional and progressive education. Now, when we are speaking again about progressive and the traditional way of education, what we see? The concepts is learning by preparing, learning by doing, learning by practice, and all the above. So, what we need to understand is that if this option is there, whenever you get this option, questions are very confusing, because here when you get the option of all of these, it is very difficult for a student or for an aspirant to select it, because at times you get confused that what you are actually going to opt for the answer sheet. So for the answer option. So here what happens, we have already said that progressive education is nothing else but learning by doing. But at the same time, doing means what? It is trying to prepare yourself, and at the same time we are going to do practice. So the correct answer will be all of this, because learning by doing ultimately includes within itself the process of practicing and the process of preparing yourself for the future. Okay, hope this is clear. Next we have question number 3. In question number 3, who is a progressive child? Now here it is a kind of a diplomatic question to identify who is actually a progressive child. So, brings good marks, actively participate in all events, interacts with teacher, keeps numb. Now see, being a teacher, always keep in mind that bringing good marks is not a criteria, is not only the criteria, because marks is something which is going to be a transitional thing. And while the boards, even in qualifying in the boards with highest marks doesn't give you any kind of a qualification to enter into a good profession or to a higher executive profession or being a bureaucrat, to become a bureaucrat. So it is very important for the child and for the teacher that only bringing good marks is not the only criteria for becoming a good student. Okay, you may score good marks or you may score the highest marks, but it depends upon your execution, what you understood till here in your practical life or in your society, in your social life. Okay, next we have the concept of interacts with teacher. Now interacts with teacher is very important because he or she, the student, is trying to make some kind of relation with the teacher, and he is trying to express his inner problems, or at the same time he is trying to express the turmoil which he or she is having within himself. Okay, and then the B, actively participating in all events. Now events, participating in events is also very important, and it is based on the students actually coming up from, or we can also say he is trying to express himself. Yes, keeps numb is not only the criteria, because when you are very silent, you don't speak, you remain numb, is not actually a characteristics of progressive education. So when we speak about progressive education, we need to understand that B and C is the option. Okay, clear till here? Okay, next we have question number 4. Okay, now kindergarten and Montessori education is for whom? As I have already said, that KG and Montessori education is for students who are preparing for the standards, or we can say class 1 to 10. So before going to class 1, we have this kindergarten and Montessori system of education, and this is for young children. Okay. Okay, young children, that is from age group, I have already said, 3 to 5 years. Okay, clear till here? Next question number, oh sorry, let me do one thing. Please be here. There is some problem of copy paste. Yes. Okay, I'm just bringing it. Oh, Roba, ek minute. Ek minute, हाँ. Roba. মোৰ কিবা এটা প্ৰব্লেম হৈছে, ৰ'বা না নাই, এইটো কপি পেষ্ট কৰোঁতে কিবা এটা বেলেগ হ'ল। তুমি চাই থাকাচোন। আটাৰ মেন থোড়া দেৰ আহি আছে, ৰ'বা। Okay. Okay. Now, In question number 5, due to some technical problem. So, who gave the principle of now progressive education system or movement, we can also say. So, as I have already said in the initial thing, who gave the concept of progressive education? It was none else but it was Dewey. So, Froebel is the person who gave the concept of kindergarten. Okay, clear? Next we have who gave the concept of humanistic approach of education. Now see, this is very important in relation to your Ctet exam because a lot of questions are dependent on this, and this concept comes from the psychological point of view of the student. Now what is humanistic? When we speak about humanistic approach, it is the approach where you are actually trying to cope up with the society and you are trying to cope up your learning, whatever you have learned till now or what you have been learning comes out or executes into your activities. So this concept was given by the person Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers, okay? And Carl Rogers. These are the two people who are actually who actually propounded the concept of humanistic approach, where they have emphasized on and they have focused on arts and crafts, or we can say social sciences. Okay, they have given the concept of arts and social science. Okay, so arts and social science were given importance by Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers, and these are the two persons who propounded these concepts where life is nothing else but it is a gradual process of learning, and whatever you learn, it is executed in your society or we can say in our environment. So remember the concept of humanistic approach of education in relation to psychology is given by Maslow and Rogers. Next we have what were the parameters of progressive education? Now parameters, when we speak about the parameters, these are actually the yardstick. Okay, the yardstick of understanding or learning education is executed, or we can say we are learning in a particular institution, and what kind of institution is concerned with the progressive education or with the progressive system of education. So it is the school as well as the society. Okay, earlier it was according to the traditional according to the traditional system of education. Earlier, what was the principle? It was the principle that the school is the only institution where you are going to learn the concepts, and it is the school where you are going to execute what you have learned. That means school, ultimately education, and ultimately it is the marks. But from the new approach, that is from the progressive approach, what we have learned that whatever we learn in school, it is going to be executed in the society. And so it is very important that what you learn, it should be some kind of a progressive education where societal factors or social factors are included in the system itself. Okay, So be clear with this. Next we have question number 8. When the RTE Act came into effect. Now what is RTE Act? It is Right to Education. Now, right to education, when it came into effect, we will speak about that. But before this, right to education, what is the basic criteria of right to education? It is giving free education. Okay? Free education to children from age group of 6 to 14 years. So whenever you get the concept of RTE, that is right to education, it is the process by which each and every child till the age of 14 from 6 years can get education free of cost. Okay. So that is, we can also say from class 1 to 8. Okay. Now, we need to remember these kind of things which are related with education. We need to remember their dates, when they were launched or when they were proposed and when they came into actual effect into our society. Okay, so when we speak about the launching, it was proposed in 2009. So it was launched, or not launched, it was proposed. Okay, 14 August 2009 it was proposed, and finally it came into effect from 1st April 2010. Okay, so the correct answer is 1st April 2010 it came into effect, or we can also say launched. Okay, be clear with the dates 2009, but whenever we don't get the concept, or we don't get the option of 2010 and we get the only option of 2009, click 2009, because it is the proposed, it was proposed in 2009, but gradually it came into effect in the year 2010. Okay, so be very clear that 2010 and 2009, the dates are different and the years are different, but when you get the option 2009, click for that option only. Okay, hope this is clear. Next we have question number 9. Choose the correct date of effect of midday meal. Again, when we are dealing with education and when we are teachers, we need to understand the things which are executed, which are going on, or which are actually carried out in the school or in the institution. So what are the schemes? So midday meal is a scheme which is launched, which was proposed by the government, and it was proposed in the year, okay, it was proposed in the year 2001, 28th November. Okay, it was proposed in this thing. But and it came into effect in 2001. So we have the correct answer, that is 28th November 2001, that too after 6 years, when it was proposed in 1995 itself. So remember, when you are very specific, opt for 2001. As for example, in RTE Act, we get the year 2009, and here it is 2001 because it came into effect. but earlier it was proposed in 1995. So midday meal scheme till now we have, where the schools are providing, we can say, lunch to the students, of the school, and it is a kind of a nutritious lunch where the students in very remote places or rural areas or economically backward places, parents send their students to the school, not in the hope of getting some kind of, or getting some kind of education, but in the hope that the student will get at least a meal for a day. So it is very important that from a region where a lot of people are below poverty line, or they are leading a very we can say deficient life, with deficient food structure or food intake, we can say that this scheme launched by our government is very applicable, or we can say very helpful for the students to get education and at the same time to get their free lunch or free meal. Okay, next we have, hope this is clear. So in the last, then here we get the concept of again the Sarva Siksha Abhiyan. Now, when we speak about Sarva Siksha Abhiyan, when it was launched or when it came into effect, it was in 2001. Okay, Sarva Siksha Abhiyan in each and every state, where we need to give education, we need to impart education to the student, where they learn in a progressive manner, they learn to cope up with the society itself. But here, now we have included another thing, and that is, first let me tell what is the free education in Sarva Siksha Abhiyan. This is the concept where we know about free education from the age group of 6 to 14. Very important, and it is a frequent question, frequently asked question. Apart from that, I just want to add a few information related to our education system, and that is now the Samagra Siksha Abhiyan. Okay. This is another scheme which is inclusive. Inclusive of what? Inclusive of Sarva Siksha Abhiyan SSA and RMSA, Rashtra Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, okay, and teachers education. Okay, this is very important. I will mark here red. So what is Samagra Siksha Abhiyan? It is an inclusive education system where it includes Sarva Siksha Abhiyan, that is till class 1 to 8, Rashtriya Madhyamik Siksha Abhiyan from class 10 to 12, and teachers education, that is which includes teachers training program, that is B.Ed and DLEd. Okay, so remember that these are a few concepts which we add in our sessions, which we add in our MCQ discussions, so that it becomes easy for you all people to understand the basic concept of education, and at the same time what kind of education system is prevailing in our contemporary or present society. Okay, with this we come to the end of today's session with the important MCQs that we prepared. Okay, hope this is clear till here, and if you have any confusion, do give us in the comment box and connect with us, because we are going to impart the paid classes for Ctet from the 1st of July. And if you are interested, do enroll in the education, in the quality education that we are imparting, and if you like, do like, share and subscribe it with your friends and relatives, so that they can enjoy the sessions and the quality, the unique quality that we are providing here. Till here, hope that you all join me in the next session and the classes that are going on Ctet. So with this, we come to the end of the session. Thank you for being with us throughout the session.